Hi guys. So I know it's been a little while since I've updated. I meant to make an update on this a lot sooner and just time got away from me. Life has been hectic. If you don't know what I'm talking about or didn't see my other video about the first half of this saga of my life, I will leave a link down below for you to go find that and watch that before you watch this one. So I'm going to pick up right where I left off. When I made that video, it was Thursday and I was going for my second blood test to see how my HCG was doing. Went and had that done. My doctor called me back Friday and said that my HCG had dropped, but it only dropped 250 points. 250 points from 6,500 points is not what he was hoping to see for a miscarriage. He was still concerned, confirmed what we were all assuming was happening, made it more realistic for me. So he told me Saturday, come into the hospital that he was on call at, get another blood test, and then depending on what that was looking like, we would take things from there. So I went in Saturday, got my blood drawn. About an hour after that, I had gotten home and I got a call from the doctor, and he said, well, your numbers hadn't dropped at all. So that wasn't good news. So he told me to come back to the hospital and get some more blood work done, and then they would administer the methotrexate shot, which is what I talked about in my previous video. I ended up back at the hospital in the emergency room. That's where they wanted me. Did the blood test and whatnot. I ended up being there for probably about 3 or 4 hours. My blood work came back all fine. The triage nurse was getting my information at one point in between waiting for the blood results to come back and administering the methotrexate. She was nice, but when I told her what I was there for, she kind of upset me because I had told her it was a potential ectopic pregnancy. She didn't believe that I was taking things as seriously as I should have been and was trying to reinforce how serious this situation was and how dangerous it can be. I explained to her, I understand wholeheartedly and completely with my entire being, I understand what this means, but what's the point of being freaked out and getting myself all in a tizzy, basically? It's not going to help me. It's not going to help them. I just wanted to be calm. What was going to happen was going to happen, and I felt like I was in the place I should be in that situation, so I just didn't understand the purpose of trying to get me all wound up over that. But that all aside, the nurse came and got me. We went into a room and she got the dosage, ended up giving it to me in my butt cheek. I didn't really feel it when she did it. I have a pretty big butt, I guess. And then they kept me for 30 minutes for observation to ensure that I wasn't going to have any immediate adverse side effects. We went over all the side effects for later and yada yada. So I was in the room hanging out. For the first probably like 5 minutes, I couldn't sit down because I could feel my butt tingling and hurting, basically. But after that, it went away, and I really didn't feel anything to do with it afterwards. I had a little bruise on my butt the next day, and it was a little tender, but it wasn't anything, you wouldn't get after like a tetanus shot or something like that. I had been having cramps off and on even before they gave me the shot. So when I got home from the ER, I ended up feeling like I was having a lot of blood loss, so I went to the bathroom and something fell into the toilet, and I was a little nervous because it was kind of a big plop. And when I got up and turned around, it was like this flushy, transparent-y kind of sack, and I knew that that was the baby. You couldn't really see the baby or anything because obviously 5 weeks along, it's not big enough to see any sort of development, but it was interesting and terrifying at the same time. I kind of freaked out and flushed it down, and I regret it. I kind of wish I had taken a couple extra seconds to look at it. It's not like I would see anything. Fast forward to Monday, he wanted me to come back in for another blood test to ensure that my numbers were dropping. If they weren't dropping, then I'd have to get a second methotrexate shot. And if that still didn't do the trick, then I would need to discuss other options with him. I was pretty confident that it would be declining rapidly now that I had passed the baby. It came back same day, and it had dropped probably about down to, I think he said 3,200 or somewhere just above 3,200, which was a significant decrease. He seemed pretty happy with that. He said, okay, come back in a couple days and we'll take another one. I had spotting off and on since then. After I passed the baby, by the way, the cramping pretty much stopped. Came back a few days later, had another one. He called me back later that afternoon and said, your HCG dropped another 1,000 points, so it's looking really good. We want you to come in next Friday. And I said, well, I can't come in next Friday because I will be out of town. We were going down to St. Louis to celebrate my niece's birthday along with 4th of July. And he said, okay, well, the following week I am out of the office, so if you feel comfortable, we'll go ahead and wait until I come back to check your levels. So I said, okay. And my bleeding at that point had pretty much stopped. Well, over the weekend, I've had a lot of cramping and a lot of pain, but I've been looking on Google a lot, and from what I can tell, the amount of bleeding I have as well as the pain probably suggests that I have some kind of infection, which is not what I want to hear or know. I called the nurse hotline, and she told me what kind of bleeding and frequency and stuff I should look for. I haven't met those goals yet, so she told me not to worry too much about it. They wrote me a prescription for an antibiotic, which I'm taking, and I'm kind of curious what my numbers are now, but I'll find out next week. Starting to feel a little bit better, but still cramping. So hopefully this is just my body getting rid of everything that it doesn't need. My emotions about this have pretty much balanced themselves out. My symptoms of first trimester pregnancy are less and less every day. I took another pregnancy test when I got back from St. Louis, and I hadn't taken one for like a week before that, which it was still super dark. And the line is significantly lighter now, and I thought that would give me some kind of relief, and it does to a point, but I was surprised when I felt almost upset over it. Like, this is really coming to an end. It's almost over, and things are going back to normal, and there's really not going to be a baby. Even after everything that I've been through, it's like it's settling in. And I think that's the hardest part for me about this whole process, is being surprised with the news that we're expecting a fourth baby, the shock and the anxiety that all played into that, and then having that ripped away from us just like that. It felt like it was forever, but it was so quick. We knew, and then within a day and a half, baby was on the way out of our lives. I'm a firm believer that everything happens in your life for a reason, but I'm having a really hard time emotionally and mentally trying to figure out what I'm supposed to take away from this. We were responsible and, had the protection in place that we were supposed to have. We were ready and willing to welcome a new baby into our lives despite the financial and emotional struggles and challenges that might produce along the way. And then to just lose it all that quickly in almost the blink of an eye and not have any sort of closure about it. And Alex and I have discussed it over and over and over. It's not something that we have decided is right for our family. Right now, our family is set the way it is, and I love my boys. If God chose to give us another one, that's fine, but we're not going to actively replace this baby, basically. It sounds terrible. That's not what I meant, but you understand. So there is no closure there. There's no, well, we can try again after this, and all this pain and agony that you've been through emotionally will mean something later. I don't understand why this happened, what I'm supposed to take away from it. Hopefully that makes sense. I will always be sad and upset that I never got to meet this little baby, but obviously he or she was not meant for us. And I've come to terms with that part of it. I think Alex has been pretty indifferent emotionally through this, but I understand that it's a completely different thing that a guy experiences emotionally before a baby's born. And I don't judge him for that. That is where we're at right now with it. This will probably be the last update unless there's any significant changes that are happening. Anyway, thanks for coming along with me on this journey, and I will see you in our next video.